What is the mind? In philosophy, this question opens a fascinating inquiry into the nature of experience, thought, and consciousness. Let's recap the essential theories and arguments you need to master the metaphysics of mind for AQA A-level philosophy. First, the features of mental states. Philosophers agree that some mental states possess phenomenal properties, qualities of what it feels like to experience something. This is what's meant by qualia, intrinsic, non-intentional phenomenal properties you can access through introspection. Some mental states are about things, they have intentionality or aboutness. For example, the thought, "I'm hungry," is about your need for food. Moving on to dualism. Substance dualism, famously championed by Descartes, argues that minds exist separately from bodies. His indivisibility argument claims the mind is not divisible, unlike physical objects. However, critics say mental states can be divided, and not all physical things are truly divisible. Descartes' conceivability argument suggests it's coherent to imagine the mind existing without a body. Yet some argue that what's conceivable isn't always metaphysically possible, and what's metaphysically possible may not reflect the actual world. Property dualism is another approach. Some mental properties, like qualia, can't be reduced to or explained purely by physical properties. Chalmers introduces philosophical zombies, beings physically identical to us but with no conscious experience, to challenge physicalism. Critics question whether such zombies are even conceivable or metaphysically possible, and whether that teaches us anything about reality. Frank Jackson's Mary argument posits that someone with complete physical knowledge of color learning what red looks like gains something new. Responses suggest she gains only know-how, direct acquaintance, or learns an old fact in a new way. Dualism faces several challenges. The problem of other minds asks, how can we know other minds exist? Arguments from analogy and inference to the best explanation offer possible answers. Gilbert Ryle accuses dualism of making a category mistake, misrepresenting what minds are. For interactionist dualism, which claims mind and body interact, there are both conceptual issues, as Elizabeth of Bohemia noted, and empirical problems. Epiphenomenalist dualism, where mental states do not affect physical states, raises further puzzles about self-knowledge, the apparent causal power of our experience, and evolutionary function. Now let's turn to physicalism. Physicalism claims everything is physical, or depends on the physical. Philosophical behaviorism is one early form. Hard behaviorists like Hempel argue mental states can be fully translated into physical language about behavior. Soft behaviorists like Ryle describe mental states as behavioral dispositions, tendencies to act in certain ways. Key challenges include dualist objections, the distinctness of mental states from behavior, see Putnam's Super Spartans, difficulties with circular definitions, multiple realizability, and the asymmetry between self-knowledge and knowledge of others. Mind-brain type identity theory identifies each mental state with a brain state. But critics raise familiar dualist arguments and note the difficulty of accounting for mental states that seem to occur across different physical forms. Eliminative materialism is more radical. Churchland suggests that many common-sense mental states, like beliefs and desires, might not actually exist. These concepts could be replaced with scientific language. Responses include the certainty we feel about our own mental states, the effectiveness of folk psychology, and questions about whether eliminative materialism undermines itself. Finally, functionalism. This theory says mental states are defined by their functional roles, how they interact with inputs, outputs, and other states. These roles can be realized in multiple ways. However, the theory faces questions about inverted qualia. Could two functionally identical systems have different experiences? The China brain thought experiment. Could an entire nation function as a mind? And does knowledge of all functional facts suffice to explain qualia? Jackson's Mary argument presses this challenge. Mastering these definitions, positions, and arguments will put you in command for your exams. Revisit each key term. Test yourself on each theory's main problems and responses, and you'll build the clarity and confidence you need to succeed.